Hello there, and welcome to the KMS wrap-up show. Today is December 15th. Today's show was Roach Motel. This is the first show Steve and Kirk did together when they were down in South Carolina, and it was interesting. Steve picked a shithole to stay in. For some reason, he, chooses Airbnbs and motels that no one else wants to stay in. He said he had another hotel booked for around, I think, cheaper than this, but he chose this. So Kirk was giving him shit for it. There was a couple of roaches found in certain places. So that's where the name of the episode. I am joined by Tim In Canton and a newcomer to the Kirk Minihan wrap-up show, Cauldron Podcast 1. How you guys doing?
Good, man. How about yourself?
What's up, Justin? Good to see you again.
I'm doing fine. I'm warming up. I just got done kicking a ball out in the cold. And we'll get to
an ice bath and make sure you elevate that leg.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I actually just called my doctor. He said I should be on bed rest for the next 2 to 3 days.
Get an insurance policy on that thing. That's money right there.
All power.
I gotta take a nap. So
didn't Disney make a movie something like the field kicking mule or something like that?
Yeah, like 60s. Radio, but with a kicker.
Yeah, right.
No, I haven't seen this. There's radio, but with a kicker. I know. This is news to me.
Oh, nice. No, I think there was a Disney movie too about a kicking donkey.
Oh, I just know of Air Bud, the millions of Air Bud movies that they have. So
Steve's choice of accommodations, yeah, he justified it by saying it was cheaper than having to rent a conference room in the hotel. Although I'd be hard pressed to stay wherever it sounds like he's staying. And the scary thing is, he said it's nicer than where he stayed in Miami. So what does that say about the place he stayed in Miami?
Yeah, it begs the question: was he in like a trailer in the swamps of the Everglades, or what the hell was he doing?
No windows, like a Dexter type of setup.
Yeah, exactly. I think we forget sometimes that he is from Maine, and I live up in Maine, and it is the West Virginia of New England. So, he's used to going without.
And lest we forget, he did share a hotel room with not just his sister, but his sister and his brother. Most recently,
exactly.
A hotel room, not a suite.
You're connecting the dots.
So the first thing I wanted to get into from today's show actually has to do with Steve, and it's the consistency of Steve. And this is going to be a lot of people are not going to like this take because it's very pro Steve. I've been a very pro Steve guy these past couple of weeks, besides him divorcing my parents, of course, and him.
He has a history.
Defending the woman, not necessarily defending Andrew Cuomo, but saying we should wait for all the information to come out before we jump on and attack him for this one sexual assault allegation, which is exactly the same take he had with Blasey Ford and when it came to Kavanaugh. So I think it's good on him for not taking a political side in this, looking at it from an unbiased angle and saying, let's sit down here, wait. This girl is running for office now. Let's see if the reason why these accusations are coming out now are because she's running for office and she's trying to make a name for herself, or let's see if it's actually more credible if more women keep coming through like Cosby or Weinstein or something of that sort. So it was kind of Geary. It was kind of nice to see Steve sit back and say, let's wait for all the things to not that Kirk wasn't saying that. Kirk was just saying that no news network is going to talk about this, which they won't, even if 10 million girls come forward. But I thought Steve was gonna jump right on Andrew Cuomo and jump right on attacking, defending this girl and everything like that. But now he's consistent. Consistent Steve is what I like to call him this week. He consistently stays in shitty places, and he consistently is he's consistent on his sexual assault views. So I don't know.
Quite a departure from the name that Madawaska Rob gave him last week.
Yes.
Both beginning with C's. I agree. He's consistent. You can't knock him for that. He's got his, for the most part, because I'm sure Warden of the North and a few other people will point out the inconsistencies of some of Steve's actions. But with this, he seems to be consistent, and it has not to do with politics with him, but it has more to do with finding the truth.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he he's consistent in his politics and very inconsistent in his personal life. So
yeah, that's an understatement.
He's his politics, even in that episode, even beyond that, when he was talking about Trump and how Republicans are doing the same exact thing that they've been bitching about Democrats doing for the last 4 years, and the lack of consistency in that is something that jumps out at you. And I think it's a rare thing. That's why it's so special or not special, but it's so good to hear these guys talk about it. Is you don't find that in anywhere else. Everybody else is always as far one direction or the other as they can possibly go. Especially with this, you get burned so easy. Why not wait until all the information is out? And so you don't have to come out and say something, like Kamala Harris was talking about at the beginning of the campaign. She was saying, I forget what it was. She was saying that they're, I totally lost it. But anyhow, I agree. He's consistent.
Yeah, I agree. You can do both things can be true. The charges can be true, and you can also let justice take its course. By the way, justice does not mean someone goes to jail. Justice means you get your day in court, and what happens from there is the definition of what justice will be for that case. But both things can be true. And what do people say all the time? Let's not rush to judgment. So I absolutely believe the woman until this is proven false. I believe Lindsey Boland. But I also feel that Andrew Cuomo has the right to answer for these charges.
100%. I think they put that very well said on the podcast today.
Yeah, they did a good job. In between talking about how filthy and nasty that freaking quasi-homeless shelter was that Steve's staying in.
Did you see the pictures Kirk tweeted out too?
Yeah. The cockroach in the fridge?
The backyard with the beer bottle and the roach in the fridge. It's fucking disgusting.
That's pretty vile.
People can live in that. But another topic that was brought up today was the time. They called it the Time Person of the Year, which they were actually incorrect. It is the Time Persons of the Year, plural, because it was not just Joe Biden, but it was also Kamala Harris, which, if you look back, I believe since 1992.
Justin, there's some pussy in your bed.
Oh yeah, that's my cat. He's just booling.
How do you know it's a boy?
It's never happened before.
Yeah, first time. But it's but since 1992, I believe the president-elect has one Time Person of the Year every single election year besides 1996. I believe that might have been Newt Gingrich. But so it's not surprising to me that Joe Biden won, but what is surprising to me is that it was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Why is that? That's the more surprising part to me. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, I think, it's obvious that they just wanted to say Kamala Harris, and they felt they were too gun shy to go out and do that, and they had to just fit Joe in there somewhere. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, at least, that if they had their, if they had their way about it, the editorial board or whoever chooses that at time would have just picked Kamala Harris and put her on the cover. But I think they were afraid of maybe getting some blowback about, and then also feeding into the conspiracy that, Kamala Harris is the president and Joe Biden's just kind of a space holder until he croaks.
Until the 25th Amendment him.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and there's been like groups of people that have been Time People of the Year. There was the whistleblowers in, I believe, 2017 about the Me Too movement. I think the American Women won in 1975, but there was never been like two singular people. So it's very strange to see Joe Biden and Kamala Harris sharing this award together.
Well, I think it's the least surprising thing of 2020. The only thing that surprises me is it wasn't more, I don't want to say virtue signaling, like Collie said, that it was all about Kamala, but you got to fit Joe in somewhere. Who the hell reads Time Magazine? I haven't given a shit about Time Magazine in 20 years. Nobody does. The fact that those guys were able to rattle off, again, no surprise that Kirk knows just about everybody in line that is one person or persons of the year, man of the year, whatever it used to be, is the part that just always puts me in awe of his lock box of a memory.
Such a weird brain. Like, why would that be something that you file away and make space in your head for?
The only thing I think Time does now is relevant. Have you ever read a Time article on anything? I know they would write articles bashing Trump all the time, but do they do any in-depth journalism, or do they just say Orange Man bad?
I'm shocked that there's still a magazine. Shocked.
Yeah.
I have no idea where they get their funding. That if I'm not mistaken, the last issue I saw was about 13 pages thick. I mean, there's nothing to the thing anymore. It's just a cover. So
I used to read, Stephen King used to do guest articles at the back every now and then. And I used to read that, and that's about it. I mean, I legitimately have not purchased or seen anybody with a Time magazine in their hand in 15 years.
I agree.
And for a fact that they wanted to do the group of protesters I'm just shocked that they didn't do the protesters and have Kamala in a mask with a sign saying George Floyd or whatever as a group thing. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they didn't end up doing that just because of the Proud Boy counter protesting.
I guess, but
probably would have got them more discussion though if they did.
They absolutely people were about to.
Yeah, it's about to slip right back to irrelevancy after I'd say 2 more days. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting, just the whole Time Persons of the Year. I thought it was strange that I don't even know if they saw that it was both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because they mostly just focused on the Joe Biden aspect of it and what has he done to win it. Well, what has Kamala Harris done to win it? She's the vice president. Could you see in 2004 Dick Cheney somehow becoming the Time Person of the Year with George Bush, or Mike Pence in 2016? It's just so weird.
I mean, if you play identity politics, there are definitely some notables, no doubt. I mean, there's facts of facts, but if it's just based on identity politics, the only one I'm surprised wasn't included on the cover was Deng Xiaoping from the premier of the Communist Party. I mean, he's the third candidate in that whole race.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
do you know who that is, Justin?
I have no idea who that is. I have no idea who that is. Deng Xiaoping? Dan
Xiaoping. He lives in
Danny Ping from down the street.
Yeah. No, he was the one that had
Ping's Market.
Yeah,
he was the one who killed Bobby Kennedy, right?
He sells single cigarettes, right? 25 cents a pop.
Yeah. Deng Xiaoping. That's
Lucy's.
Right.
Yeah. Deng Xiaoping.
Yeah. That's right. Well, I know.
Xi Jinping. I think Deng Xiaoping's actually dead.
I was given 2 tasks today. One was to go and attempt a extra point, which I failed on. I missed my first try. It was very sad. You can check it out on the Kirk Minihan Periscope on Twitter, which I just read an article that Periscope will be shutting down soon. So that's very interesting.
Oh, that's news.
Yeah. So breaking news here that Periscope will be shutting down. I'm not entirely sure. I just read a quick article that said Twitter plans
breaking news on the wrap-up show
on getting rid of Periscope. So I don't know if they're just going to replace it with Twitter Live or what it's going to be, or if they're going to get rid of the live feature, or how that's going to work.
Jeez, I'm gonna have to Google this and hope, like Steve, that I don't get any surprise cocks popping up when I do this.
Yeah, that was the next part. I was also told to let's just hear the clip first before we.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see Brandy Love was on Barstool Kate's show?
I did not see that.
Yeah. See if we can maybe I'll be curious. A lot of Minifans are tweeting at her I told you she unfollowed me.
Oh shit.
Were you not around for that?
No. I think
she unfollowed me, and then somebody tweeted at her what's your issue with Kirk Minihan? She's like, who's that?
Oof.
I think it's because I have the occasional tweet not fully supportive of the president of the United States.
She's a little snowflake.
Well, I don't know that.
She's a little sensy?
But she gets you see her. She's a lunatic when it comes to Trump, which I respect. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. It's funny because I think the last time, she was friendly with us the last time we asked her to come on. We wanted her pre-election, but she was traveling.
Yeah. Now she goes, which is, I don't mind.
Maybe she wasn't traveling. I don't know.
I don't know.
Can we unfollow her from the show Twitter and Instagram account so that every time I open it, it's not a huge fucking
talk in your face?
Allowing her?
Sure. That's if you're anti-sex, that's fine. If you want to be a centrist yourself, ironically.
Well, no, I'm not. Not being censorious. I'm just saying
that's how you want to do it. If censoring Steve, I think maybe that sticks.
When I check my phone in public, I'd rather not have this huge black.
Why is the black matter?
That's right, Kirk. Called them out for it.
But
Well, is that
what typically pops up when it's Brandy Love's
white
account.
or either
huge
one?
white cock? I just would rather not have surprise cock. Like if
Fine.
I know
What is your issue with the male penis? What is your so what?
It's
you have one.
It's like if you're at the dinner table or you're.
Well,
like,
why are you pulling out the dinner table?
Well, if you just open it up and check Twitter real quick and see what the news is, and bam, cock. It can be uncomfortable.
Well, I'm saying this is a what? Now, so you're shaming her for her job?
No, I'm not shaming her for her
God,
job.
You're a sexist pig.
I'm just saying that if we could eliminate surprise cock.
The answer is no.
The
Now
Thanksgiving.
The answer is
equation.
now no. No, actually, I want you to follow 50 more porn accounts from the Shogun, please, Justin. Okay. I want only cocks galore. I want at least 50 cocks followed on Twitter. Do you understand me?
So I was given a second objective today, and I followed through on it. There is plenty of new accounts that the Kirk Minihan show is now following. I'm just going to rattle off a couple of them. We got Mature MILFs Grammy. We got Cuck List UK. Cum Slut Lucy. G&N, who is a MILF submissive BBC slut wife. Husband is dominant.
Well, I'm just curious. Weren't you supposed to follow cock accounts?
Yeah. These are like, because I tried to find like cock accounts and big black cocks just fucking women, and this is the majority of what these accounts are. We got Mr. Side Dude XXX, which is then we got here's where we got Big Black Cockhead, Big Black Cock BBC. We got this guy's name is Delcy Nezalizi, which I'm sure he might be from another country, but his bio is I like sex. I like to write about it. Write in messages. I like sex. Send me your nudes to DM. Who wants? I will share them for you. I am a man. So I saw that there were a couple cocks on his account.
You might want to spell his name later in case anybody else is interested in following him.
Just put a link in the bio in the show notes.
Hendrix, who is 6'8" and 13-inch horse cock.
Are any of these blue check marks?
No, believe it or not,
13-inch horse cock.
No, he
be
should
a blue
be,
check mark
right?
just by default.
No, believe it or not, BBC dumb. I love black guys. Cash App only. Verified. No,
I hope Steve cuts some of that up.
So hopefully,
there's a lot of isolating on Steve today. Yeah. It's going to be spectacular. Justin, did you have a certain taste that you were going for? It sounds like when you were.
I just looked up big black cock. I just looked up big black cock, and what I would do is I would follow an account.
Interesting, because the objective was
just
this
is the first time.
Was what?
It was just simply cock, but you decided you wanted big black cock.
Well,
is that correct?
Yeah, it was just cock. I mean, there's other forms of cock in the following list, but but what I would do is I would find an account, I would follow it, and then they would retweet someone. I would click on that account, follow that. It was like going down the rabbit hole of cock. So
sure. Just trying to get a feel for what your preferences are. That's all.
Yeah. So now, about
Tuesday afternoon, very simple. You know,
it's sleepy day.
So now
20%
of cock everywhere.
The 20% of the Kirk Minihan show following is now cock accounts and porn accounts. So
it's going to be a cock Christmas around your house,
as it should.
It's going to be as it should be is correct. But let's get back to the Brandy Love situation. So where this all started from. Do you think Brandy's out? You think she's out? I mean, it would be a strange move for her to suddenly just be out on Kirk like this. It just doesn't seem like her.
She's crazy about Trump stuff, man. She's like gonzo, not quite Jerry Callahan levels, but she's pretty out there.
But she's passionate, but I do think that she'll be back in the fold. I don't think it'll take much coaxing from Kirk to get her right back to following him. He is too irresistible for her. Whenever she's on, she really sounds genuine in her admiration for Kirk and the fact that he's such a great fan. So I think she'll be back.
She's also a pretty shrewd businesswoman.
I
would be surprised if she didn't, want to make sure she kept all avenues of potential, revenue open.
Yeah, I'm surprised that are you guys frozen?
No, just letting you talk, Justin. Get cock on the mind.
You talk.
Yeah, can't get you talk, I talk. Well, I'm just surprised that, you know, when Steve said, or Kirk said, she replied with Kirk who? I mean that's gotta hurt because so I met her at Las Vegas last year around October when I went to Las Vegas, and I told her that I'm a big fan of the Kirk Minihan show, and she was like, "Oh, I love the Minifans," and she went on. She calls him Kirk Minihan, and she knew exactly what I was talking about.
Sure.
So to say Kirk who seems kind of deliberate. There's no way she forgot about who Kirk is. And,
no,
you know,
I think she just wants a little Kirk love, and that'll get her right back in the fold.
Didn't she make a video for him when he went away? Was it in Saco or was it when he went away?
She sent her well wishes. Yep.
Yes, on mental health break. Yeah, so it's just like I don't see. Maybe there's something behind the scenes that's going on where she doesn't want to associate with. But I feel like that'd be strange. If she's associating with Barstool Kate, hey, maybe she did a 180 and she's a complete lib now. Wouldn't that be something? You know, Barstool Kate convinced her to join the Communist Chinese Party. But it's interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on the Brandy Love? You think it's real? You think it's fake? You think she actually unfollowed him? It was one of her business people or her husband, maybe?
I thought we just went over this.
We did.
We're circling back.
But yeah, so we're driving it home. We're just wrapping it up.
You just want to get back to cock talk.
I get it. Just a little bit more. Can we do like 30 more seconds of cock talk? Actually, we got to wrap this up because I need to go follow.
Podcast. You can make this the cock corner, and we can just talk all the time.
We need to wrap this up because I need to go follow 50 more accounts on my personal account just because I just need to.
This time, just on your own. You're the only time you've shown initiative in your entire career is
when it comes to
the finest cocks on Twitter.
Yes.
Worth staying up for. Cock around the clock.
That's right. So, Tim, you wanna wrap us up with some on this day in Kirk Minihan history?
So I'll go through episode 124, 125, and 126 from December 13th, 16th, and 17th of 2019. The episode 124 from Friday the 13th, that was Dirty Mike and Doggy Style. So that was when Mike was exposed for having had a podcast having been on a radio show called Dirty Mike and the Boys back when he was at Westfield State, something that he never mentioned prior. And so one of his buddies said, let Steve know. I'm sorry?
The Warthog was his co-host, correct?
The Warthog was on there. Yep. Kirk gave Jerry Callahan's podcast a D for the first show. He also spoke about some of the crap that Jerry had been giving him, and then Jerry begs him to come on his own podcast to help promote it, and Kirk said, nope, not having it. Also, Steve in this one refers to lint as fuzzies, so another indication of Steve just not being from around here. They called out to Brendan, the auction winner, who donated, and I think this is important to note, Brendan had donated $5,000 towards the Hunter Baldera Education Fund. So for anybody that had forgotten, I certainly was one. Right. Yeah, that was that's the son of
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, that gentleman who passed away. It was awful story.
Crazy.
Young guy, recently had a kid and was married about a year. And so they talked about going down to Brendan's house in Centerville. Also on the and the last thing was it was the leaked video. Basically could be considered a crime at this point, but Portnoy had hooked up with somebody and it sounds like that woman had released a video of Dave getting all froggy with her. So they talked about his froggish moves and the fact that his dad was on the radio and was trolled on his own show by Smitty. For the fact that he had no idea what was going on in the world that day, even though it was the biggest news in Bostills.
The Bagwell, the wide stance there?
Yes. Okay. And it was the number one trending topic at Barstool, if not on the internet, and Cousin Mike had no clue. Episode 125, that was on Monday. Everything is racist. This is Kirk apologized for being white. Thank God for that. The Talib Kweli.
Oh, Justin, that was fucking crazy.
I think Quali.
Sorry, I hate mispronouncing people's names. That was the fight that happened, and Kirk left it to the Minifans to take that fight. Fight
now
up.
off
But
Twitter, I believe. He was kicked off.
Oh, he is. He had 1 million followers, according to himself.
Yes, I believe he is kicked off Twitter.
Wow. So that was a fight that had happened over the weekend, and Kirk commented at how Talib was just falling for every parody account in the Miniverse, and he got a real kick out of it. Also, something notable that's not in the show notes. This is when Steve committed to doing the year in review show. Does anybody remember that year in review?
Yes.
Yes.
Collie sounds like you remember that. Yeah. And Steven even admitted later.
Terrible.
Was not what he had hoped it would be. DEC offered to resign as president. Kirk accepted, appointed Matt from Providence. There was some tension today and a couple of DMs that I got. This is just about this show, but that did change down the road. So be prepared, Patrick. I will be sure to mention when you were actually elected. But at this point, there was a nomination, kind of like when Nixon had to resign and Jerry Ford stepped right in until the next election to get booted up. Cullinane was wearing thin on Kirk at this point. Too much talk about going into the KMS Discord and promoting the Jerry Callahan show and then getting nothing for it in return. And there were a couple of songs. Steve's the Lie Guy had a Portney Squats while he has sex song in Burgers and Brew to Boys of Summer. And the last thing on the 17th was very interesting. This was the Christmas trip was canceled. Kirk called it off. They did not go to New York as they had planned to go. He crapped on, well, he didn't crap on. He brought to light the deficiencies of EEI and Chris Curtis crapping on Josh Gordon at the time, and the fact that Zabano brought up how Zabano thought the NAACP was going to go after them because Bob Murchison sent to Shirley Leung a clip of Kirk clearly being sarcastic when a caller called in and said Kirk hates black people. And if people remember, Kirk said, yeah, you're right. I don't even want them in the building. Don't want them working. It was so pathetically sarcastic. And yet Shirley chose to believe it. This was another big piece of this episode. Amanda Dobbins. Anybody remember what Amanda Dobbins is famous for? Collie, you know what it was?
She's the movie,
yes.
The movie thing with Bill Simmons, right?
Correct. On The Ringer.
On The Ringer, yeah.
Megyn Kelly, right?
Yes, on the Bombshell movie.
Basically,
spent an entire podcast victim blaming Megyn Kelly. It was, listening back, I cannot believe what this woman said about Megyn Kelly and the movie. What an absolute idiotic review. But anyway, Kirk had a great comment and said of all the great comments, but I know that he thought that they should change the name of that podcast to the Three Pussies podcast because it was so bad. Steve mispronounced another word. He mispronounced compilation, pronounced it as compilation, whatever that is. They did a Silent Pals review and how every third show is basically a best of, which is replaying an old show. And lastly, Richard Chandler enters the world. Guesses? You guys know who he is.
Oh, I know who Richard Chandler is. Please, WCXX.
Yes. WCXX radio station out of Madawaska, Maine. This started out with Kirk saying this is a lot of talk about going up to Madawaska, and he said, I want to have a radio station in Madawaska that only broadcasts, so you have to move to Madawaska just to hear it. He would be on 4 hours a day, and that led them to calling WCXX in Maine, and speaking with Richard Chandler, and who had told him I'm sorry?
He was not having it.
He was
didn't he initially was like, oh, this could be my retirement, and then it immediately started to shift into
he was not backing down from his price of $1.5 million. And Kirk has always said his dad taught him you got to always be able to go to the negotiation table and be able to walk away. Richard Chandler absolutely subscribed to that sales methodology and was not having any of it. So that was 102.3 in Madawaska. And also, just a little note, Richard Chandler was also very critical that he wasn't informed that they were taping. He kept going back to that topic. So those were those 3 days in Kirk Minihan show history for this week, December 14th, 2019.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you, Cauldron Podcast. And we will talk to you tomorrow on the Kirk Minihan Show wrap-up.